Hello, everyone. Welcome to another interesting day on planet Earth. And I heard a saying yesterday, it feels like years are months, months feel like weeks, weeks feel like days, and some days it feels like the time is speeding up, where other times it feels like it's dragging. And already we are well into March, and we're just on the cusp of a full moon in Virgo, which is my sign. So Virgos can be very critical, but they are very much in service and caring as well. So, as always, when there's full moons, we have tumultuous energies that we can either be in harmony with, or we can be in some way in disharmony with what's happening. And that's very much what feels like what's happening in the outer world. There's so much coming at us. I've had to disengage from reading anything that is in mainstream because it would just feel like the world's in chaos, and what am I going to do about it? And so it prompted me to think about the relationship between the prime creator, universe, God, whatever you want to call it for yourself, the relationship with our soul, the relationship with our spirit, our consciousness, and the physical body. And I just wanted to share something with you that I share in some of our trainings that I think is going to be relevant and perhaps help you today. So let me just share this with you. This is a slide that I share to sort of culminate a lot of what I talk about in our introductory course, Soul Code. But what I wanted to point out here was the relevance of our connection. And I think at some stage, you have to ask yourself, where am I in the grander picture? Where is the creator, God, prime source energy, universe? Where is it in relationship to me? And through our lives, we've suddenly became quite disconnected from our real connection. Certainly, mainstream religion has said that the God creator is somebody separate you pray to. Some people have visions of God in the sky with a book writing, "You've been good, cross, you've been bad." You've been good, tick, you've been bad with a cross. And we've really looked to the sources through there to have a connection. So for instance, a rabbi or a priest or somebody who we consider religious is the only person that has a connection. And so through our duality that we've had this separation from the creator. And I always like to go back and remind people that we are not separate from the creator. The same abilities that the creator has, we have. And in fact, we are creating our reality. And you might think, oh, that's crazy. I wouldn't want to create some of the things in our life. But if you just took one moment to think, what was the thought that I had within the last 5 minutes? What was my thinking going on? What was my emotion reaction to what I was thinking? And even in just observing what you've been thinking, what happens is you don't realize that we are in the process of manifesting our reality. Now, luckily, the prime creator has created in our field of creating in front of us some filters so that we don't manifest every single thought that we have, because I'm sure some of the thoughts that you have, you wouldn't want in your life currently. But I want to bring you back to the connection with the creator, because whether you have a strong connection to the prime creator, universe, source, energy, whatever it is for you, we have to agree that when we look at our world in nature, everything is in beautiful harmony. And in fact, when you look at some of the animals that are in nature, if you look at some of the plants that are in nature, and you gaze on them and think, oh my gosh, this is just so beautiful. And you think, wonder what sort of being would have to create something as beautiful as this. And perhaps you don't think of those sort of things because you're kept busy by outer narratives. But I like to always say to our community, if you really want to get connected, go into nature. And it doesn't mean you have to go into the depths of a forest or anything. You have a tree somewhere around you. What's your relationship with the tree? Oh, yes. I go up and talk to my tree, big tree in our backyard. I go there to feel connected, to ground my feet, because from a scientific point of view, if you haven't got your bare feet on the earth, you're not connected. And we're energy beings, so there's an electrical connection with the earth's frequency and also our body as well. But the creator is there, and we are, as soul, an aspect of the creator experiencing itself to know itself. So we are creator. We are an aspect of the prime God. And some people I know listening to this will go, oh no, I'm not, I can't be. I couldn't do what he does. And the only reason you think like that is because the programming, you've forgotten all your past lives. You come in and do your life and then leave and then forget everything that you've learnt and start again from the beginning. And we're lucky that we as soul, because we are a soul having a physical experience, we as soul have a very intrinsic connection to the creator. We have all the knowledge within our soul, and we have all the wisdom of our previous lives archived in our soul. Our soul created our body. And if you want to see the connection between how you're going with your connection to your soul, to the part of you that's soul, then have a look at your physical body. Always remembering that your body is in the process of healing itself. I'll get to the body in a moment. But getting back to soul, when we go through some of Grabovoi's teachings, and we learn it cognitively, trying to understand what he's saying, he lays out in science and in his teachings how reality is created. The optical systems, not of our body, but of the world that we live in, and the light that is magnified or reflected or refracted, or how our consciousness can create a stable platform for a direct connection between our soul healing our body, compared to we do a process in our head and wonder if it's going to work or have you done the right thing. When you have a good connection with your soul, it's like knowing yourself at another level. And I like to talk about it this way, we all agreed, sitting around a cosmic table as souls, that we would come down in physical form to experience life at the current moment. And I know sometimes you'll look at it and think, oh my gosh, why did I agree to come at this time? There's so much chaos. But it's interesting that a very small portion of people on the planet have the knowledge, for instance, that we are meant to live for a very long time. It's not a knowledge I've read in a book. It's not something that I've been spoon-fed and just now believe. I have a knowing, and you call it this soul knowing, that we are meant to live for a long time, that our body is not letting us down, that it is always in the process of restoring itself. We understand that from soul, that we come to earth to evolve. And a beautiful book by Neil Donald Walsh is called The Little Soul in the Sun. You can look it up on YouTube. There's a beautiful narrative there. But it describes how a soul decides that it wants to experience itself in a physical realm, in the 3D realm. And God says to the soul, you're already perfect. You don't need to experience yourself. And the soul says, yeah, I'd like to experience myself as forgiveness. And God says, well, there's nothing to forgive because everything's created to help to benefit you. It's only your perception of what's happening then shadows on that. And so, anyway, long story short, the soul agrees to come to experience something, and another beautiful soul decides to come and do that very thing to this little soul, so that when it happens to them, this other beautiful, generous soul says, look, when I'm doing that thing to you that you need to forgive, I want you to remember who I am. But of course, we don't when we come and experience life. And we experience life then through, as a soul, through the lenses of our perceptions, our belief systems, our experiences. And it's those experiences from the past that then shadow or cast a light into how we perceive the world. But not only that, we also affect then what we're creating in the future. So I remember when I was fairly young, in my 20s, not that that's not too long ago, and I used to have a thinking, every time something good happens to me, it's a signal that something bad is on the way. And it's interesting. That was my conscious belief at the time. And so in my thinking, as it like a program in a computer, it turned up. Yeah, I was like clockwork. When something good happened, it turned from my perception into being something bad. And so our perception of how we evolve as a soul is from a very uh, linear level of judging things good and bad. This is good for me, this is bad for me. Now, in the teachings of Grabovoi, one of the things that he says is that the creator is always present. Your soul is always present in every situation. So you have the creator and soul there in everything that happens to you. The thing that happens is in our perception, we judge. We judge it good or bad. And so I like to step people through, and I even did this with my husband this week in one of our businesses. Something happened, and I said to him, "So what's the blessing in this?" And he was able to see, okay, this shows us we have to develop a system around this because it's a bit loose. We have to do some staff training because then they understand where we're coming from. So it's never anything bad. It's a learning experience. And when we can get out of the events of being in the dramas of the outer world and step back and be the observer, and when those things that come to us that challenge us, that we don't judge them and start to say, oh, this is really bad for me, because at the same time, from a quantum level perspective, there is always something that is also happening that's a blessing for you. So you're getting the full quantum of the experience. It's just that our mind, our logical part of our brain, our perception then starts to then want to fracture into judging it good or bad. When you come from the understanding that everything that happens to you is for your soul growth, is happening for you and not to you, then it adds another perspective to it. And I always encourage our community when there are things that are happening to them, I say, step back out of the emotions, energy in motion, step back out of the emotions of it, step back out of your ego or judgment, and look for where the creator, God, and your soul is present at trying to harmonize this for you. And so life too, when we come as a soul in a physical body, life has some challenges along the way. Not to give you a hard time, but because you have come as a soul into this physical plane so that you evolve. So imagine you didn't ever go to school, as an example, and you did learn something at school, probably not too much nowadays, but anyway, we won't go there. You did learn something, if you want to have a look, you learned to add up maths. So if you look at that point of view, you did evolve in a certain way. And so Earth is the school of life. And those little challenges are not to give you a hard time, but to shift out of the area where you're still stuck or where your thinking is stuck, and to help you move into a new area. Now, I'll give you an example. Well, I've been in the Grabovoi community since 2011, and we've been running our business, and I uh, was beautifully taught by the Thailand project, Corolla Saracen, and I've learnt and grown. And now together, the Grabovoi community, the teachers from all around the world have come together and said, we need to create a very strong platform for people to be able to know where to go to get information. And so in the last year, I've been collaborating with Grigori Grabovoi Academy, and not only do I do training in E=VS, where I have a lot of personal time with people in small groups, but I'm also in a bigger framework working with people from all around the world to bring this knowledge into the world so it becomes a very strong structure. Now, I'll give you an example. There is a lot of fear in the world, and the systems that are not too bright on this planet are quite dark, want you to be in fear. You are like their food, their energy source. It has a name, it's called loosh. And so they want fear in the world because they can control people with fear. And that is a lot big structure. If you look into the world, you can see many instances where fear is always put in your face to keep you feeling less lowly and what's the point and how can I make a difference? Well, when a group of people come together, and the heart maths people prove this, with one collective thought, say it's peace or it's harmony, it actually has a physical effect on the quantum field, so that is tangibly measurable. And the heart maths people saw that in a particular area where they were focused, that the crime rate went down. So when we come here as soul to evolve, those little challenges we have along the way aren't against us, they're for us. So me moving into a bigger community is a stretch. I haven't had to work in a big community for a while. How do I fit in? Where is my understanding compared to everyone else? It challenges me. I need to write other programs that I present. And so this is pushing me. And how does my soul respond to that? How do I get a feeling that this is something that I need to do? Because for me, my soul loves to learn. And in fact, I'm in my most joy when I'm experiencing and learning and evolving and growing, because within me is the knowing that I can take complex work and bring it in a way that people can understand it. And let me say, Grabovoi's work sometimes is a little challenging because it has that scientific component to it to prove that this is not just a spiritual, airy, fairy thing, but there is actually a science behind that. So we're all growing and evolving, especially at the moment. It feels like somebody's put the pedal down on the accelerator of our car, our soul, our body, and moved. Now, where does spirit come into this? Spirit is like the essence of the soul. It is energy, the transporter of information. Our soul communicates to us, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. Your soul creates the events to bring you back on track. You remember the old term, the eyes are the window to the soul. And you look into some people's eyes and there's just no connection at all. But our soul is always there communicating to us, and spirit is bringing the message to us. And I love the term inspiration because it has spirit in there, the energy of the spirit that is always moving into the world and through everything is the inspiration, that impulse that we feel to do things. Now, our soul is very connected to us. In fact, it's located in the area of our heart. So we are not disconnected from it, whereas spirit is not located in the area of our body. It is everywhere. It moves through everything outside of time and space. And the beautiful energy of the spirit then brings the knowledge from the soul into our consciousness. Now, our consciousness, based on the universal laws, has two parts. The first part is our intuition, where we follow the impulses from the soul that sometimes don't even make sense. And we have a choice. We either follow the impulses of intuition, and when you do that, it's a practice thing. After a while, you start to understand that, oh, my intuition was correct about this. You know, how reflection is really good looking back. But we have a logical part to that. Unfortunately, we've had our logical part of our consciousness very dominant through the way that we've been educated to experience. And I like to call the logic a little bit like the disc of our life, like a CD. Remember the days of CDs. When we get into our logic, we're asking ourselves a lot of questions and trying to work it out. And our logic is like a CD. We get trapped on track 4 of the CD, and we're spinning our wheels, playing the same tune over and over again. And the logic just asks more questions. The logic is really good for adding up. It's for analyzing something, for directions. So it has a place. But unfortunately, what's happened is we've been so created so dominantly in our logic that our logical part of our consciousness is in the driver's seat of our life. And that's what we're letting control us. And the logic will try to put limitations on you. No, you can't do that. No, you shouldn't do that. Oh, what if? What if? What if? Your soul never communicates in the negative to you. In fact, my soul sometimes sings to me words to music as a way of expressing a message. And in fact, many of our community and myself and my husband, we journal most days with our soul. You know, what is it that you will have come through me today? Morning, dear soul, what is it that you will have come through me today? And then just allow the words to come in to your consciousness. And we can logically analyze it and try to correct the spelling and form the grammar. But if you just let the words that come into your mind flow onto the page, when you read it back, you think, oh my gosh, that's not normally how I think. And I'm following my intuition that this is the message I need to comprehend right at this moment. So our consciousness also never dies. Our consciousness exists free from the influence of just the 3D world. And I'll give you a little example how important consciousness is. The World Economic Forum, one of the people there has mentioned many times about how humans are useless bottom dwellers, that we're the ones that are causing all the dismay in the world. And in fact, why shouldn't we give up our physical body and have our consciousness merged with AI? Now, if our consciousness was of little value, why would they want to merge it with artificial intelligence? Our consciousness can travel free of location. It can move back to past events. It can also have the area of clairvoyance, so we can see what's happening from our spiritual view. We can see events in the future and harmonize them before they have an effect in our physical reality. So our consciousness is something that's really important to develop. The other area that I want to mention about consciousness is to understand what is your thinking against what isn't your thinking. And why do I mention that? Because unfortunately in the world, if you want to think of it as matrix, there are often thoughts and programs in the world that don't belong to us, and they flow into our consciousness. Now, I'll give you another example without making a judgment either way. Many people over the last 5 years, especially in 2020, decided that they didn't want to get involved with an inoculation, something inside of them said, this is not for me. There's something not okay around this. And along the way, I heard many people say to me, not many, but a few people say to me, when in my thinking, all of a sudden, I heard the words, yeah, go ahead, go in and get the inoculation. Why not? Everybody's doing it. And luckily, some of these people were in our community and we'd had a chat before, and they understand what their thinking is. And it was like, oh, this wasn't my thinking, because I know deep down what I was feeling around it. And I had to consider then, okay, this isn't my thought. And so it's very hard sometimes when you're in the process of developing, and especially with all the noise. And I call it noise from the outer world because it just comes at you and there's so much information that we're in the point now where people don't know what to believe and not to believe. And many people in social media are now going on to AI to ask them how to evolve or what's true in the world. And what about asking your soul, the deep connection with the creator? What about asking your soul for guidance? It's because you're in doubt that what you hear is actually true. And so this is why we dive in and start to help you to understand the relationship between all these elements that make up you. Now, where does the body come into all this? Well, we have all the connections, the creator, our soul, spirit, and consciousness. But our soul can't experience life without a physical body. It cannot evolve. When you decide that you want to drop your body, what happens is spirit contracts back into soul, and soul sits as still with that connection to the creator, with all the knowledge, with all the wisdom that you've gained through all your experiences, but it doesn't develop any further. It doesn't have experiences. It cannot come to earth and experience something if it hasn't got a physical body. Your soul created your physical body. It wasn't your mum. Your mum was like the oven, the incubator, but your soul had all the knowledge, which was all in that one eternal cell with all your DNA. Your DNA is unique to you. It is varied from, as I said, from person to person. It's just unique to you. So transferring somebody's DNA into somebody else is not you. The body will start to reject that and start to get into a process of like, this is a default, this is a virus in the programming of my physical body. It doesn't want it, doesn't want anybody else's, any animal DNA or anything. And so the body is very unique in that it's always in a process of restoring harmony and equilibrium. Now, right at this moment on planet Earth, we have a lot of systems that are sending a lot to our physical body. We have toxins in our food from pesticides, etc. We have toxins in our water that is blocking our pineal gland, and many other different foreign bacteria, etc. We have it in our food supply with, as I said, as pesticides. The soil is not rich with nutrients anymore. And we also have what's happening in the sky as far as the toxins they put in the sky for weather modification. And also we have the toxins that are fed into our consciousness. And of course, the other things that we may take in as medicine that can affect our physical body. So we are being bombarded at the moment, and it takes a lot of courage as a soul. And maybe that's why you've come here at this time, to step into your power of who you truly are, to step into your courage and especially resilience, and know that your body's not letting down, it's just getting bombarded. So what would you do if a child of yours was sick? Well, you'd do everything to make sure it was healthy. And some people have the freedom to choose. They go off to, say, a doctor to have a doctor sorted out. Most of the people that I know, and certainly in my community, we start to understand how the body works, learn how your body gives you signals, and then make sure that we take beautiful things from nature that help to detox the body. And the Creator has created everything in nature, and that's originally how medicine was. It was nature, and you can't patent nature. So the body is not failing you. It's always in a process of eliminating. So for instance, one of my mentors, Don Tolman, where he says food is your medicine, he said our body has a number of ways of getting rid of toxins. The first part is our excretory system, so trying to get it out. The second way the body tries to get rid of toxins is our lungs. The third one is through our skin, the largest organ of the body. And the last way that our body deals with too much toxins is to create the body's rubbish bin. And that's what is called a tumor. And this is where people go into it, attack it. No, it's just signaling that there is an overload of toxins, and now you need to allow your body to reset. And, Don Tolman and also Tyler Tolman talk about fasting, which was a very old-fashioned way, and still with many people's thinking about giving the body a rest from food and just allowing the body to process just through drinking structured water or juicing, whatever way that you're doing your detox. But our responsibility in a physical body is to look after the body. And most people will spend more time on their car fixing it than they will on their physical body looking after it. Also, what affects our physical body is our thinking. And I think that's some of the first areas that you have to look at when you are certainly evolving as a soul, but in your consciousness. And it takes that time to just step back. So, for instance, I've been always one who wants to share a lot of information. And when I've shared information, especially over the last 5 years, not everybody wants to hear it. And got to the point where perhaps I didn't want to share some of the things that were being found out about our world and what was happening. And I had to ask myself, why do I need to share this? Well, it comes from a part where I felt in the past that perhaps I didn't have the knowledge to understand how life evolves, how to do life. It's almost like we never got an instruction book how to do our life. We just sort of muddled along the way and had experiences. And then I thought to myself, maybe I have an ego part to this where I feel like I want to have more knowledge than somebody else. And I want to feel a little right about it and prove that their thinking is wrong. I thought, oh, okay, interesting. If information has come to me in the right time and I've been willing to research and explore, why wouldn't it come to other people in the right time? And so if people are in the process of questioning now, I just say, that's not where I'm coming from. I did a bit of research. Perhaps you want to do research. If you're interested, I'm happy to lead you in a couple of directions, but you need to have a look for yourself. I know some people think, oh gosh, I don't know what's right or wrong, but here's the thing. When you have a deep relationship with the part of you that's soul, you can ask your soul a simple yes and no question. Is this information right for me? Yes or no. And your soul works at a very fast speed. In fact, it will answer you almost before you've finished the question. And it will answer within about 3 seconds. If you're over the 3 seconds, you're now moving into your logical brain and trying to listen to that for the answer, and it doesn't have the answer there. So if I can sum it up, we are working together with our physical body. The part of me that has all the knowledge of creation inside of me, of all the knowledge of the Creator, of all the wisdom of my soul, and I can talk to my soul from my consciousness, my logic, and say, give me an understanding so that I'm totally clear. It comes from you. in a way that I can accept it. And in fact, that was my conversation last night about some training I'm going to be writing for the Grabovoi community. And so when you understand and develop a relationship with your soul and understand that your spirit is working, bringing the energy of your soul into the events in front of you, you'll know that somebody is very connected to their soul because they almost are emanating a light, like a baby does. Everybody's attracted to a baby. They look into the pram and they just want to reach down and grab the baby and hug it because it's emanating light. And we are light beings. We are sending a frequency, a biosignal through our thinking. And there are many biosignals that our body is affected by, like our hormones send a biosignal, our muscles send a biosignal. And it's our thinking that gets stored in our physical body. So sometimes at the bottom of disease is some of your thinking that has caused that. So fear often goes to kidney area. There's a beautiful book that I use by Ina Segal, or The Secret Language of Your Body, which really gets to what are your thoughts that is causing this. And then you have to look and just have a look, where's your thinking around this? Or am I being programmed from outer source? Am I listening too much to the outer world and not too much to my inner world? Now, when we go through a practice of some of Grabovoi's technologies, we go into our inner world and we start to create there and allow our consciousness to show us the images. We can certainly create the images of what we want to create, especially if you go on a holiday. You know, when somebody goes on a holiday, they plan what they're going to do on day 1 and 2 and 3 and what they want to see. Then you help to create that. And usually your holiday is something memorable and beautiful, and you spend a lot of time creating. Well, we do that. Luckily, we have filters in front of us, but we need to have a more of an understanding of our relationship to our soul, a more of a relationship to understanding how our consciousness is structured, the filters that we have there, our own belief systems that affect what turns up in our life. And when you start to integrate that, you then become very much the observer of things. It's not that you're sitting on a mountain with your legs crossed and never participating. What happens is you start to observe things that happen and not get into the pressure of, I need to do something now. I need to act in some way. You step back and have a look, and you start to then become more a co-creator with God, creator, and a co-creator with your soul in the world, so that you can speed up the healing of your body, the rejuvenation of your body. And our body's meant to rejuvenate. Our body's meant to live for 1,000 years. And if you read through Grabovoi's books, everywhere he talks about eternal life. We know the soul is eternal. Most people understand that. The soul has the knowledge of eternity. But I bet you didn't understand that right at this point of time in the evolution of man and the evolution of consciousness, that we are meant to be eternal in a physical body. And that brings up many questions for people. The reason why it's not happening at the moment is because of the thinking of the collective consciousness, the thinking and programming that getting old and disease and death is the normal process of life. And so it takes a bit of understanding and some new education to understand the structure of eternity that is here already. It's a bit like people say we want the golden age or heaven and earth. It's not a destination, it's another frequency. It already exists here. You look at some people on the planet, they're already living their hell. You look at some people on earth, they are just living their paradise. So we have a responsibility to understand and perhaps explore in some of Grabovoi's works And I think a nice book to start off with, and pretty heavy topic, I guess, the resurrection of people and eternal life from now on its reality, because in that front part of that book, it describes perfectly the creator's soul, spirit, and consciousness, and the relate and body and the relationship, and why you need a physical body. And the body, I'm sure you've heard this, is the temple of our soul. So it's important for us to look after it and feed it alive, healthy food, to sleep if you feel like you need to sleep, to have a massage if you're able to do that, to move and exercise, go to yoga, whatever it is, go for a walk. But that's our responsibility from a physical level, to look after the body as best as well, so that as part of us, that soul and spirit, can then use our physical vessel to experience and move through life. I have a knowing that my soul already has within every cell of my body, that I know. And I say to some of my friends who think I'm a crazy, I'm not going to die. And I'm not just talking about soul. I know that I can be eternal in the physical body, but as soon as we can get the collective consciousness to understand this knowledge, and it flips, we don't need everyone, but as soon as it flips, oh, we're meant to live longer than we've been programmed. In fact, we're meant to live eternally in the physical body. Then it becomes very fast, and people rejuvenate, and then we have a totally different world we're living in. Now, you mightn't even want to do that because logically you say, I don't want to leave my friends or family or experience all that I have already for the next 1,000 years. It doesn't work like that. You can't be in eternity in a body that has dis-ease in it or is aging at all. They're big topics I'm throwing in at you at the moment, just to seed for you the possibility of where you can be. You have freedom to choose. You can drop your body whenever you like. But just remember, when you do that, spirit goes back into soul. Soul doesn't evolve. And the soul wants to evolve. It wants to experience it. Think of a child. As I said, go and read Little Soul in the Sun, and you will feel the childish wonder of, imagine what it would be like to experience something, just as we did when we turned up as kids and as children, and started to experience things, and looked at our hands and started to pick up objects around us and try to make sense of it, and went through the joys of experiencing life, very connected to ourselves, very much in love with ourselves, no judgment. And this is what we're here to do. When people ask us, well, what am I here to do in life? You're here to learn to love and to receive love. And I don't mean a romantic love. I mean to receive the full quantum of it. And to learn also how to love yourself, because a lot of people don't know how to love themselves, just because it's an experience, and also some of the programming that we've gone through. Anyway, enough today. I just wanted to really, as I said, give you an understanding of why we as a collective group are so focused on helping to educate you in a world where we're in massive turmoil, where you can feel very disconnected. And even sometimes people get to the point of, what is the point of life? Why am I here? And to understand we're not heading into an Armageddon. What we're doing is witnessing the darkness and distortion that has been on the planet for a very long time. And without judgment, understand that everything is happening for the benefit of everyone. So they evolve and grow. So it's not just about me evolving and growing. It's about collectively, all of us starting to evolve and to restore the planet to harmony, to restore humans to harmony, where there is no battle or competition, where we all love and support each other and wish the best for each other. So have a beautiful day, everyone. Spend some time with yourself, get to know your own thinking, fall in love with you, and fall in love with all the aspects of you. Bye for now. See you later.